Distinguished delegates, the 9th plenary meeting is resumed. We shall now revert to agenda item 15, consideration and adoption of the budget for the 23rd financial year. Here we take up the report of the working group on the programme budget, the draft resolution on the programme budget for 2025 and the proposed programme budget for 2025. We will first turn to the report of the working group on the programme budget. You have before you the report of the working group contained in document ICC-ASP/23/WGBB/CRB1, which has been submitted by the chair of the working group on the programme budget, Ambassador Ana Cristina Rodriguez Pineda, after the working group's meeting held earlier. May I take it that the Assembly wishes to adopt the report on the working group on the programme budget contained in document just mentioned before? I see no objection. The report of the working group is adopted. The Assembly shall now take action on the draft resolution of the programme budget for 2025 contained in document ICC-ASP/23/L8. I now give the floor to the coordinator on the budget, Ambassador Ana Cristina Rodriguez, to introduce the draft resolution.
Thank you, Madam President. Distinguished delegates, thank you for giving me the floor. The 2025 proposed program budget was submitted to the 23rd session of the Assembly to the Registrar of the Court. By the Registrar of the Court, sorry. Is there an echo? Yeah, sorry. The Assembly has been provided with statements by the Registrar, as well as statements from the Chair of the Committee on Budget and Finance, the External Auditor, and the Acting Chair of the Audit Committee. The relevant documentation will be contained in Volume 2 of the official records of the 23rd session. The draft resolution on the program budget for 2025 document ICC-ASP/23/L.8 dated 6 December 2024 has been distributed by email. The draft resolution contains 18 sections from A to R, addressing various aspects of the budget. The resolution was discussed during informal consultations in the Hague Working Group this year and in the Assembly's Working Group on the program budget. The budget as set out in the draft resolution amounts to a total of €195,481,000, including the host state loan. A portion of that amount, $928,000, comprising non-recurring costs in 2025, would be financed from the anticipated 2023 cash surplus. The amount to be contributed by states parties would therefore represent an increase of 3.99% compared to the 2024 approved budget, including the host state loan. It is my conclusion as the coordinator that there is consensus, and therefore I would like to submit the resolution for the consideration of the Assembly. I would like to thank the Committee on Budget and Finance, the External Auditor, the Audit Committee, and the Court for their contributions. I also wish to thank the focal points for the budget subtopics of budget management oversight and premises, Ambassador Jaime Moscoso Valenzuela from Chile and Mr. Julián Camilo Silva from Colombia, respectively. I would also like to recognize the contribution from the German delegation last night with giving us some provisions for additional energy, but also with coming up with a good proposal today that helped bridge the gap between the opposing positions. I also wish to thank Ms. Marisa McPherson. The support from the Secretariat has been really formidable, outstanding, and unconditional, and I would not have been able to do this without her support. I also wish to express my sincere appreciation to all the delegations that went through this very long and intense journey in the most constructive and engaging and very innovative way to find a way forward, and which helped us reach an agreement on this very important and difficult draft resolution. It is my hope that the resolution can be adopted by consensus. Thank you, Madam President.
I thank the coordinator for her introduction and for her tireless efforts to arrive at a successful outcome. Is there any delegation that wishes to explain its position before taking action on the draft resolution? I see none. May I take it that the Assembly wishes to adopt the draft resolution contained in document ICC-ASP23/L8 without a vote? I see no objection. The draft resolution contained in document ICC-ASP23/L8 is adopted. Is there any delegation wishing to explain its position after the adoption of the resolution? I recognize Argentina. You have the floor.
Gracias, señora Presidente. En primer lugar, permítame reconocer el trabajo realizado por la facilitadora que permitió conducir a buen puerto el resultado de nuestros trabajos. En segundo lugar, y en relación con el párrafo M2 de la resolución y el párrafo E10 del anexo 1, el Gobierno argentino interpreta el término género estrictamente tal cual está estipulado en el artículo 7, párrafo 3 del Estatuto de Roma. Muchas gracias.
I thank you for your statement, and I give floor. I do not see any more requests for the floor. So we shall now proceed to take action on the proposed program budget for 2025 contained in document ICC-ASP23/10 as read in conjunction with the recommendations of the working group contained in its report ICC-ASP23/WGBB/CRP1. Is there any delegation that wishes to explain its position before taking action on the proposed program budget? I see none. May I take it that it is the wish of the Assembly to adopt by consensus the proposed program budget for 2025 contained in document ICC-ASP/23/10 as read in conjunction with the recommendations of the working group on the budget contained in its report ICC-ASP23/WGBB/CRP1. I see no objection. It is so decided. Is there any delegation that wishes to explain its position after the adoption of the program budget? I see none. I wish to express appreciation on behalf of the Assembly for the assistance which the Chair of the Committee on Budget and Finance, Ms. Monica Sanchez-Izquierda, and the Acting Chair of the Audit Committee, Mr. Werner Trummel, has provided at this session. The Assembly has thus concluded its consideration of Agenda Item 15. The Assembly will now consider the draft report of the 23rd session. Before proceeding to adopt the report, I invite Ambassador Calzadilla Sarmiento of Bolivia, the rapporteur, to introduce the draft report contained in document ICC-ASP/23/L1.
Muchas gracias, señora Presidenta. Tengo el honor de presentar el proyecto de informe de la Asamblea de los Estados parte del Estatuto de Roma de la Corte Penal Internacional que celebró su 23ª sesión en el World Forum en La Haya del 2 al 6 de diciembre del 2024. El informe se encuentra en el documento ICC ASP Quebrado 23 L1. Todas las referencias necesarias a las resoluciones adoptadas por esta Asamblea estarán reflejadas en el informe según corresponda. Los documentos oficiales de la 23ª sesión de la Asamblea se publicarán en los volúmenes. El volumen 1 contendrá el informe de la Asamblea compuesto por 3 partes. La primera parte incluye los debates de la sesión y se divide en 2 capítulos. El capítulo A, titulado Introducción, que abarca los párrafos 1 al 13, proporciona información fáctica sobre la convocatoria y la participación en la 23ª sesión, la apertura de la sesión, la composición de la Comisión de Verificación de los Poderes, la adopción del orden del día y la organización de los trabajos. El capítulo B, titulado Examen de los asuntos inscritos en el orden del día de la 23ª sesión de la Asamblea, trata sobre los trabajos efectuados durante la 23ª sesión. Proporciona información fáctica sobre las actividades de la Asamblea en relación con cada punto del orden del día de la sesión. Hace referencia a los diversos resultados en cuanto a las actividades realizadas, las resoluciones y decisiones adoptadas, las recomendaciones formuladas y los acuerdos alcanzados por la Asamblea. El capítulo B se divide en 17 secciones. Los párrafos 14 al 16 de la sección 1 se refieren a los estados con contribuciones pendientes. Los párrafos 17 al 18 de la sección 2 del proyecto del informe trata sobre los poderes de los representantes de los estados partes en la 23ª sesión. La sección tercera, párrafos 19 al 22, se refiere al debate general que tuvo lugar durante la 23ª sesión. La sección 4, párrafos 23 al 25, se refiere al informe sobre las actividades de la mesa, del cual la Asamblea tomó nota. El párrafo 26 de la sección 5 se refiere al informe sobre las actividades de la Corte, de la cual la Asamblea también tomó nota. El párrafo 27 de la sección 6 hace referencia al informe del Consejo de Dirección del Fondo Fiduciario en beneficio de las víctimas en la Corte Penal Internacional y a la declaración de su presidente, de los cuales la Asamblea tomó nota. La sección 7, párrafos 28 al 30, se refieren a los temas relacionados al examen del sistema de la Corte Penal Internacional y del Estatuto de Roma adoptado por la resolución ICC ASP23, quebrado resolución 4, así como también los temas referentes a la implementación de la política sobre duración en el cargo y sobre la introducción de una moratoria a la contratación por la Corte Penal Internacional del personal de nacionalidad de estados que no son estados partes, contenidos en las resoluciones ICC-ASP quebrado 23 resolución 2 y ICC-ASP quebrado 23 resolución 3 respectivamente. La sección 8, párrafos 31 al 34, se refiere a la elección de 5 miembros del Consejo de Dirección del Fondo Fiduciario en beneficio de las víctimas de la Corte Penal Internacional. Los párrafos 35 al 37 de la sección 9 tratan sobre la elección de los 5 miembros del Comité de Presupuesto y Finanzas. La sección 10, párrafo 38, trata sobre la elección de los miembros del Comité Asesor para las candidaturas de los magistrados de la Corte Penal Internacional. La sección 11, párrafos 39 al 43, trata sobre el examen y la adopción del presupuesto del 23º ejercicio financiero. La Asamblea aprobó el informe del grupo de trabajo que figura en el documento ICC-ASP quebrado 23 WGPB quebrado CRP1. También aprobó el presupuesto programa para 2025. Además, la Asamblea adoptó la resolución ICC-ASP quebrado 23 resolución 6 sobre el presupuesto programa que cubre los siguientes temas, entre otros. el presupuesto programa para 2025, que incluye los créditos de gasto por un total de 195.481.5 euros y las tablas de personal para cada uno de los grandes programas de esta cantidad. Se deducen los pagos realizados para el reembolso del préstamo otorgado por el Estado anfitrión. El sistema de cuotas para la distribución de los gastos de la Corte, la transferencia de fondo entre los grandes programas según presupuesto aprobado para 2024, la elaboración de propuestas presupuestarias, un enfoque estratégico para mejorar el proceso presupuestario, fondo de maniobra para 2025, el fondo para imprevistos, contribuciones pendientes, las remisiones del Consejo de Seguridad, el control de la gestión presupuestaria, auditoría, las instalaciones de la Corte, recursos humanos, plan estratégico de seguridad, interpretación para las reuniones del Grupo de Trabajo de La Haya, viajes, las visitas familiares a los detenidos indigentes, contribuciones voluntarias. Los puntos mencionados anteriormente y los contenidos en la resolución reflejarán en el informe final. El párrafo 44 de la sección 12 trata sobre el examen de los informes de auditoría. Este tema se aborda en el informe del Grupo de Trabajo sobre el presupuesto programa. El informe del auditor, el proyecto de presupuesto programa para 2025 y los informes del Comité de Presupuesto y Finanzas se incluirán en el volumen 2 de los documentos oficiales. En la sección 13, el párrafo 45 indica que la Asamblea consideró el tema de la cooperación con la Corte en la sesión plenaria titulada ¿Cómo pueden los Estados partes fortalecer su apoyo a la Corte? El párrafo 46 indica que la Asamblea adoptó la resolución ICC-ASP23, resolución 5 sobre la cooperación. El párrafo 47 de la sección 14 se refiere a las enmiendas al Estatuto de Roma y al Reglamento de Procedimiento y Pruebas. La Asamblea tomó nota del informe del Grupo de Trabajo sobre las enmiendas. La sección 15, párrafo 48, hace referencia a la decisión sobre las fechas y los lugares de las próximas sesiones de la Asamblea de los Estados parte. El párrafo 49 de la sección 16 informa sobre las decisiones relativas a las fechas y el lugar de las próximas sesiones del Comité de Presupuesto y Finanzas. Como en ocasiones anteriores, el informe sobre la resolución de organización general no tendrá un párrafo separado, ya que las decisiones tomadas en este sentido ya están reflejadas en las diversas partes del informe. La sección 17 trata de los asuntos varios. El párrafo 50 se refiere a la sesión especial de la Asamblea sobre el examen a las enmiendas respecto del crimen de agresión, misma que tendrá lugar en la sede de Naciones Unidas del 7 al 9 de junio del 2025. En la misma sección, el párrafo 51 refiere a los fondos de asignación especial destinados a financiar la participación de los países menos desarrollados, así como de otros estados en vías de desarrollo en los trabajos de la Asamblea. La segunda parte del informe contendrá las observaciones y recomendaciones de la Asamblea sobre los informes de los auditores, las recomendaciones de la Asamblea sobre el proyecto de presupuesto programa para 2025, así como las observaciones y recomendaciones de la Asamblea sobre asuntos con implicaciones financieras y presupuestarias. En cuanto a la parte tercera, sugiero que se invite a la Secretaría, como en ocasiones anteriores, a incorporar en el informe final las resoluciones adoptadas por la Asamblea en su 23ª sesión. Los anexos al informe de la 23ª sesión incluirán el informe de la Comisión de Verificación de Poderes, el informe del Grupo de Trabajo sobre el Presupuesto Programa, la declaración del presidente del Comité de Presupuesto y Finanzas y una lista de documentos. Me gustaría pedir a las delegaciones que, de tener correcciones lingüísticas, editoriales en el texto o en cualquiera de los idiomas, las envíen directamente a la Secretaría. Las correcciones se incorporarán posteriormente a los documentos oficiales. Señora Presidenta, concluyo mi exposición sobre el proyecto de informe de la 23ª sesión de la Asamblea, recomendando su adopción por la misma. Muchas gracias.
I thank the rapporteur for introducing the report of the 23rd session of the Assembly. We shall now begin the adoption of our report, and I propose that we proceed section by section. And as it was announced by the rapporteur, I request also the delegations wishing to propose editorial or technical corrections to please contact the Secretariat directly. Those do not need to be raised here during the adoption process. First, we shall go to Chapter A of Part 1, Introduction. Can we adopt that? I see no objection. Section A is adopted. Chapter A is adopted. And we shall move then to Chapter B, Section 1, States in Arrears. Section 1 is adopted. Section 2, Credentials of Representatives of State Parties at the 23rd session. It is adopted. Section 3, General Debate, is adopted. Section 4, Report of the Activities of the Bureau, adopted. Section 5, Report on the Activities of the Court, adopted. Section 6, Report of the Board of Directors of the Trust Fund for Victims, adopted. Section 7, Review of the International Criminal Court and the Rome Statute System, adopted. Section 8, Election of the members of the Board of Directors of the Trust Fund for Victims, adopted. Section 9, Election of 5 members of the Committee on Budget and Finance, adopted. Section 10, Election of the members of the Advisory Committee on the Nomination of Judges, adopted. Section 11, Consideration and Adoption of the Budget for the 23rd financial year, adopted. Section 12, Consideration of the Audit Reports, adopted. Section 13, Cooperation, adopted. Section 14, Amendments to the Rome Statute and the Rules of Procedure and Evidence, adopted. Section 15, Decision concerning the dates and venues of the next session of the Assembly of States Parties, adopted. Section 16, Decisions concerning the dates and venue of the next session of the Committee on Budget and Finance, adopted. And Section 17, Other Matters, adopted. We have thus completed the adoption of our report. May I take it that it is the wish of the Assembly to adopt the report of the 23rd session of the Assembly of States Parties as a whole? I see no objection. The report of the 23rd session of the Assembly contained in document ICC-ASP23/L1 is adopted. The Secretariat will compile the report and the relevant annexes as soon as possible, and the final version will be posted on the official website of the Court. May I take it that it is the wish of the Assembly to proceed on this I see no objection. It is so decided. Distinguished delegates, we have thus concluded our consideration of the items on our agenda for the 23rd session. Before closing, I wish to indicate that the Coalition for the International Criminal Court has requested the opportunity to make a brief statement. Does the Assembly agree to invite the Coalition for the International Criminal Court to make a brief statement? I see no objection. I give the floor to the Coalition for the International Criminal Court.
Thank you, Madam President. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, it is with honor to address you today on behalf of the Coalition for the ICC. As a new member of the Coalition's steering committee, the Coalition is the world's largest civil society partnership. We're here as a delegation of human rights defenders and organizations committed to international justice and the fight against impunity. As we have heard repeatedly over the past 5 days, this is a critical moment for the ICC and the Rome Statute system, and yet the commitment of civil society remains steadfast. As you have seen during this session, there is tremendous interest in the work of the court. With situations in countries across the globe, the reach of the court has grown significantly, and with it, the number of victims and survivors hoping for justice. Through our interventions in the plenary, in the debates, and inside events, civil society voices have raised the importance of meaningfully engaging victims at the court, concerns about double standards, and the need for sufficient resources for the court. We will continue to engage with you towards these ends and express our serious concern that once again, the budget agreed by state parties pales in comparison to the work before it. Crucially, we have heard over the last days the need to ensure that the work of the court can simply continue in the face of potential sanctions and other concrete efforts to undermine this institution. We recall our coalition's statement to the cooperation plenary and urge you, the court's state parties, to speak up in defense of the court's vital work. To be crystal clear in your firm commitment to your obligations under the Rome Statute, including on arrests, and to be prepared to protect the court, its staff, and all those cooperating with it from the effect of those sanctions. If ever there was a moment to come together in solidarity in the movement for international justice, it is now. As civil society, we know that threats to the court go hand in hand with threats to those who cooperate with the court and defend it. And as frontline human rights defenders, we are acutely aware of the high stakes of this moment. For this reason, we must stand firmer than ever in our support to victims, to those for whom this court was created. We must commit to ensuring that the spirit of the Rome Statute is carried forward and not undermined at a time when we need it the most. Thank you.
I thank the Coalition for these remarks. Distinguished delegates, distinguished representatives of the court, dear colleagues, dear friends, we are now at the closing of this 23rd session of the Assembly of States Parties. I would like to particularly acknowledge the work conducted during 2024 in the working groups in New York and The Hague, and by the facilitators and the ad hoc country focal points as they carried out the mandates of the Assembly under the leadership of their respective coordinators, Vice Presidents Michael Kanu from Sierra Leone and Margareta Kasangana from Poland. Allow me also to extend my gratitude to the review mechanism states parties representatives, Ambassador Paul van den Eyssel and Ambassador Michael Imran Kanu, as well as the country focal points, Bangladesh, Chile, and Poland, for their tireless efforts. I would like to thank delegations for the commitment and flexibility demonstrated during the last few days. This constructive approach has allowed the Assembly to successfully resolve a range of issues. I trust that we will be able to carry forward the mandates contained in the resolutions which we have adopted today. I wish to sincerely thank all the states parties, observer states, members of civil society, and of course the court for their support and cooperation, without which we would not have been able to successfully conclude our work. I would also like to thank the interpreters for their flexibility, which has allowed us to conclude our work today, or tonight, should I say. My thanks also go to the staff of the Secretariat of the Assembly for the incredible support provided in preparation of the Assembly and in the course of this week. The laws of physics teach us that where there is force, there is resistance. As the challenges faced by the court grow in number, complexity, and nature, states parties' support must grow in resolve, commitment, and strength. The court, our court, is needed now more than ever. Before I close this session, I would like to invite you to rise and observe 1 minute of silence dedicated to prayer and mediation, in particular for victims and survivors of atrocity crimes around the world. I thank you. I now declare the 23rd session of the Assembly of States Parties to the Rome Statute of the International Criminal Court closed. I wish you all happy holiday season and safe travels to those returning to New York or capitals.
Congratulations, Madam President. Congratulations on your first assembly.
We did finish it even today.
Yes, we finished.